Hello everyone, Loserkiller here, and today it's the third part of our video about Aynh, so it's our 10th and final MOC in the first wave of the Abyss MOC series. In the last video we talked about both arms and the head, and in this third video we're going to talk about the body itself. So it's the main part of Aynh, it's the biggest one. There is a lot to talk about because there is also a lot of Matawan scenes in there. So, well, let me just move these arms out of the way. And now, well, it's time to... but this big guy, front and center, right here. Okay, and the first thing you might notice is that Aynh used a stand to stand, in fact, because yes, at first, like I said, we really wanted to make a big MOC which was fully articulated, which had good articulations, and obviously, at first, he wasn't supposed to need a stand to stand. He was just supposed to stand on both his legs, and that was supposed to work, and all is fine in the world, and stuff like that. But like I said, once again, we wanted to show this creation at an exhibition which happened a weekend, but we had to go there on Friday, and we began working on Aynh on like the Wednesday. So this means that when I finally finished Aynh, it was like Friday morning. We had to depart the afternoon, and so it's just at that time that we could put all the parts together to see how it looks when it was finally done. Only problem, when we finally attached the leg on the body and the arms, the thing just fell off. It couldn't stand at all on both of his legs because there was a lot of weight on the body. And so my friend Shaddow, which helped me making this MOC, which really helped me, decided to build a stand quickly so it could stand firmly on both his legs. So yes, we need the stand because without the stand, it just does not work. And so, apart from the stand, which is, by the way, well made, it works, it serves its purpose, there is nothing really to talk about here. Well, apart from the stand, here is what Aynh is all about. And yeah, so where do I start? First of all, you need to know that the body frame, so the kind of like the skeleton for Aynh's body, was created mostly by Shaddow. So I really focused my effort on this part and also on the decoration. So for example, I made this part right there, I made the mouth, I made the nose also, we're going to talk about that later on. But Shaddow really built the frame itself and also helped to put some parts up there on the shoulders, and also I think he had the idea for the Visorax part here, which will be helpful to make the eyes, because yes, as you can see, we have a face. So the idea was to have like this big face. Well, the idea, I do not recall if one of the concepts at first, without building anything, was to have a head. I know that at first I really wanted to have a hole right there with a little scene, so it's there. But as for the face itself, I do not really recall. I think so, but I couldn't be sure. That said, we have a face. So you have the two eyes here and there, like that. You also have the nose, which is here. Let me just move it this way. We have the kind of like eyebrows made out of wings. And finally, we have the mouth right here with a lot of Visorax legs used as teeth. So really, this is a part which I'm really fond of because I think it really looks good and it really stands out, pops out. And well, that said, I think, no, let's just move on and talk to the body itself before moving on to the little Matawan scene all over the place. And so I'm going to take the camera because it will be easier, I think, to just show you how it's made while doing close-up, even if I might shake my hand, so excuse me for that, obviously. So, first of all, as you can see, the articulations on the sides are made with two body frames attached together. Then Shaddow used technique beams to link the overall frame. He also, like I said, the one had the idea to put these two big driller parts here and there, like that. He also had the idea to put this piece of armor in there, if I'm correct. And as you can see on the side, excuse me, we have technique beams, and I choose to put some claws and wings also right there. So to cover this part of the mouth. Also, notice that this part here is our waist, if I can say so, because it's where you will have the articulations for the. Excuse me, I just have to adjust my webcam because then. Yes, it's quite blurry. It's quite hard to see for me because they have the sun white in my screen, so yes, nice. I think it's still blurry as hell. Okay, I think it should be better. So yes, for this part we took inspiration from Witch Doctor, which used the kind of like the same idea for its waist. And as you can see, I added some, so there is some kind of like an orange liquid in the mouth, and so I made it drip with this part right there. So you have the drips of orange liquids just falling on the ground. You also, as you can see, a lot of chains. So like I mentioned in the previous videos, there is really a lot of them on the upper part of the body, as you can see. We'll talk about that later on. And I think we just talk about pretty much everything on the front. We'll talk about the back of the MOC later on, but first, let's talk about the little scenes of the little Matterhorn scene going around here. And first off is this one. So I might just, excuse me, I'm going to move my camera stand, and by camera stand I mean stack of video game cases and books. So I think we be able to see everything, and so yeah, like that. Let me just okay, yeah, that's pretty good. So as you can see, you have to, yes, this is what is the main scene of this creation. I don't really know if it's the most important one or not, but still it's the one I worked the most on. And as you can see, the two characters are behind kind of like a jail cell bar right there, which one is broken right there. So it was this was an idea I had from the start. And so yeah, we have two Matterhorn, and so this scene kind of represents when you might give up on your family member or on your friends. So the idea is that you have a matter one right there, a red one, as you can see. You have a red one and a black one. The black one is literally melting within the monster. So as you might not see, but he has no legs at all. There is just one arm hanging there, but the other arm is also melting in the side of the body. Whereas this matter one, as you can see, can still escape from this kind of like melting because he has both arms free. He also has his legs right there with the pelvis part. But this one is kind of like lost in a way because he's just going to get swollen by the monster, and well, obviously, well, it's going to be swallowed by the monster, and obviously he wants his friend to help him escape, to just lend him a hand, but this guy does not want to do that at all. In fact, he wants to escape from there as soon as possible because he doesn't really want to meet the same fate as his friend, and in fact, he is ready to, well, to put his life in front of his friend's life. So he is really like giving up on his pal here, and that's kind of like the idea behind this little scene is that sometime in life you will have to make a choice if you want to help or not a friend or a person which is who is dear, who is close to you, excuse me. And sometimes for some reason you might not want to have them. So sometimes it's because of fear, because you think that your friend is making a big mistake and you do not want to follow him in his mistakes, but you still let him do it. And I think that's the idea here. It's or yeah, sometimes you just give up on them. you just think of yourself first, so it's kind of like egoist, and you just do things for your own benefit. And the idea here is that, as you can see, well, first of all, even if you make this choice, so of giving up on your friends and you succeed in doing so, for example, here, I think even if the black matter one is going to get crushed, this one might escape. Still, as you can see, you have a chain which links the two matter one. This is meaning that, well, this means, excuse me, that even if you escape successfully of this situation, you will still remember for the rest of your life what you did to your friend back there. So even if you think you did the right thing, or if you by letting go of your friend, this might haunt you forever later, because you clearly know what you did was in a kind of way wrong, because you just let go of him. And so that's where the chain is. It's like the link between the two persons. It's a link that will not be broken, and this means that, yes, it will forever be with you, this decision you made earlier. Also, both of the matter one have the same masks, and so also you might think that I'm just making this up as I go, but no, this idea was clearly here from the start, even before I started making the creation. Some other scenes sometimes might add an interpretation that come up later on, or some of them are half and half, meaning that I had an idea for something I wanted to make before building the creation, before building N, but as I was building him, I come up with other interesting interpretations. So it's kind of like a melt with, it's kind of like you have the different type of, yes, it's a, let's just move on, because I will not be successful in ending my sentence. Still, this scene was here from the start. And also, both of them have the same canary, because this is a reflection, in fact. Because when this matter one is looking at his friend, in fact, he's kind of looking at him, because this guy, well, it's quite hard to explain that, because obviously in French I can explain it in a nice way, but here in English it's a little hard to find my words. But let's just say that this character is a reflection of this one. In fact, both of them are not so different, and when in fact this character decides to just let go of his friends, is that he's fearing of what might happen to his friend. And when thinking that, in fact, he's fearing of what happens to him if he fails. So it's also this scene is also is also representing the fear of failure. So in a way, this guy knows that this guy is going to die, and obviously he doesn't really want to die, because he sees himself in this character, and he doesn't want the same thing to happen. So that's why they both have the same canary, because they are close to each other and they are not really different from each other. And this character is just in fact afraid of what might happen, because he sees himself in the black character, right, in the black matter one. And so yes, this last part might be a little confusing to understand, so sorry. Yes, once again, if you did not catch all of it, feel free to ask me in the comment section. But that's what mostly is this scene is about. Just kind of like the fear of what might happen if you follow your friends in some things, and this yes, and you know that this is not really a good thing to do, but you still give up on him because you do not want to the same thing to happen to you, in fact, because you know it can happen to you, because like I said, both of them are not so different, and you know it could happen to you, and you want to distance yourself from this thing to happen to you as quick as you can. So yeah, I'm just going to move on to the other scene, because I think I just talk about everything I could. Some of this are not as clear as others, but once again, I really hope you could understand. And so yeah, the background is all about orange parts and red parts to kind of like make the inside of a mouth. Even if hopefully the inside of your mouths are not orange, because it might be time to go check a doctor if it is. But yeah, it's, as you can see, more like a weird monster. So yeah, don't know really what's in there. Second scene, which really has also meaning, because this scene has one on the back don't really have any big meaning. You can find the meaning afterwards, but that was not really their intent at first. But this one was, so this is a Matawan, which is standing by two tombstones. So the tombstones are made out of slicer/robots shoulder pads. So you have a black and a white one. And this little situation, this scene, is all about grieving and the fact that some people can't really grieve. In fact, they can't move past the grief stage, and they kept being blocked in the past forever. And so this is represented by the fact that the Matawan, as you can see, still has an arm and a leg which are outside, so everything is nice here. But the other arm and the other legs, well, they're kind of like inside the monster. They're linked to the monster. They're attached to it, and it can't move. So this is what this is about. It's about losing one of your close friend or a person which is dear to you, and just you can't just move on with your life, because this loss will forever be with you, and you just can't imagine a life without them. And this means that you just block yourself in the past, in the memories of the past, and you can't advance forward, you can't advance in your future, and you just keep totally blocked. So it's about grieving, but also you can interpret that in a more general way. For example, people who are touched with depression. Depression is a really sick thing. They can't also move forward. They are just blocked. They can't do anything, and that could also be interpreted as that. Plus, like I said, the fact of not being able to move on forwards is not only with grieving, it's also in everyone's life, I think. Well, it depends of people's, but many times I know that personally, sometimes I keep thinking of what happened past. I keep thinking of sometimes what I did wrong in the past, what I could have changed in the past, but these things do not make sometimes you can just think of you always how to say that, you always keep resenting action which happened in the past. You sometimes just always put this action forward because they were really marking you, but they had really a big impact on you. But the problem with that is that you just can't move on, and sometimes you just can't forget or forgive other people for what happened in the past. And sometimes this type of feelings is this kind of resentment isn't a good thing for you and for your health. And that's what this thing is about. It's about stop trying to keep living in the past, because this will not lead you to anything really valuable. Obviously, the past has its good point, because you have to remember also the past to do not make the same mistakes again in the future. But if you just stay in the past, you will not move on to the future. So move on in the future. So yes, that's what this scene is about. And so then you have this scene. So with Matawan, which is impaled. I don't really have the word for that, but as you can see, you have a spike which goes through him. So he might have fallen off from a distance and felt directly on the spike. This scene does, like I said, does not have any interpretation. When I wanted to make it, and once again, this is something I wanted to make from the start. If I remember correctly, my first drafts and rough drawings of this model, it was just to have a shocking imagery to my MOC, to have something that will stand apart from the rest of the creation. Because that's interesting to put in your MOC. So yes, not just Matawan who fell on spikes, but even if you, for example, create a canister-sized MOC, it's nice to have some asymmetrical aspect to your MOC. So, or to have, for example, like a big shoulder and a small head or stuff like that to really have your MOC stand out. And obviously, it has to have a reason for that, but still. That said, I think it's time to move on to the back of the MOC. So what is to see here? Well, as you can see, you have some galleys hooks right there, which are made to look like a spine, a back spine. So it also kind of look like the spikes from a chainsaw. So I could imagine that these spikes just keep on moving around, kind of like on a chainsaw. We can also see some beeswax body used to cover the part right there. Notice that once again you have both sides which are a little different in terms of colors and shapes used. Here you have the rest of the back, and as you can see, you have two scenes on the back taking place. First one is kind of like a follow-up of this one, because you have kind of like you need some axles which stands out of the back of our characters, and so there are here, so you kind of like climb on the Titan. So once again, it's a reminder that I took inspiration from the Shadow of the Colossus video game. And as you can see, you have a Matawan which is hanging from one of the poles. So the head is done, as you can see. And I think, well, it's kind of like you have two acts of the same scene. Here is just hanging on a thread, then is falling, and obviously is landing directly on a spike. So you could see these two scenes as a part of just one big scene. And obviously, like I said, these two scenes were not made with any big meaning behind it, but you could easily just interpret that as just trying to go for the stars and just losing your way while doing so, and sometimes just falling even harder. Yeah, so it's. I think it could be also linked to the scene we had on the left leg, which was about greed and which was about gaining the most power and stuff like that. And sometimes if you just want to have more power, to become richer, to become more popular and stuff like that, sometimes you just end up falling after that because you. But there is a lot of situations in life where you just fall to your doom. For example, if you if you end up consuming drugs and stuff like that, so mostly it's just matter of falling down to their doom, and you can interpret that the way you want. There is no way. This time I did not really choose to have any big interpretation on that. Apart, for example, unlike the main scene from the inside the body. Then it's time to move on to this last part on the back. It's a Matawan, as you can see, which is untrapped or which is trapped between tentacles and arms. So all of that are in fact arms of past and deceased Matawan and maybe even Toras, which are kind of like coming out of the back of the character. So you can just imagine this part just moving away and just trying to reach something. So you have some claws also right there, as you can see with the tentacles. So yeah, it's there is also no real meanings in there, I think, in this scene, or at least I don't remember one. So there might be one at the origin, but yeah, you just have a Matawan which is trapped by this one. And you might think that this is Matawan in the body frame just kind of like go inside his body next, and that's where they end up. So yeah. So yes, I think that's time to end this video because it's even longer than the French one, and usually I try to make the English video shorter than the French one, but it seems I talk a lot. Like I said, I kind of like, I knew it would happen, because like I said, there is a lot of to talk about. And so that's all. So I might do a little turnaround to end this video. So let me just adjust this thing first. Once again, not the easiest thing to do. You can see most of my display and what's around. It's not really not really that good looking, so excuse me for that. I will try my best here, but sometimes my best, I guess, is just not enough. Which is really a sad thing to say, I think, but still. So, okay. And here we go. Whoa. He's kind of wobbling around in a weird way, so he's not supposed to fall off. The stand is strong as it is, but Okay, and so I think that's all for this part. So hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments or things you did not understand about the interpretations of the scenes, well, feel free to ask. I will happily answer them. And that said, I think that's all. And well, we'll see later for the fourth and final part of this video, in which we will put together the model. So I do not know if I will put, if the model I will put together the model directly in the video or in between videos, but still we will put the model together. Obviously, I will do a little turnaround, and then I will do just a little conclusion about a little summary of this first wave with all of the MOCs together. And that will be all for our first wave of MOC from the Abyss MOC series. So I hope you enjoyed, and see you later. Bye-bye.